Well, hi there. Today I'm over at Kuala Lumpur Airport in Malaysia, where I'll be testing out Malaysia Airlines business class on a shorter flight on over to Bali in Indonesia. Today just happens to be Malaysia's Independence Day, but somehow the airport's not all that busy, or at least it doesn't seem so. But I did get here just a little bit early, so if I can get through immigration fast, that means we'll have quite a lot of time to check out the Malaysia Airlines lounge before the flight. Normally, if you needed to check in here at the airport, there's a business class line for you. But I'm already checked in for the flight because I booked this all-on-one ticket with some other Cathay Pacific business class flights, and I already got my ticket printed out way back in Taipei. But first I've got to go through immigration to leave the country. And I got through. I have to say, immigration here, entering and leaving the country, it's a little bit slow. So definitely schedule like at least 30 minutes for that. If you show up here and there's a ton of traffic, I don't know, an hour and a half before your flight, you could very well miss your flight. But anyway, I'll be departing from the H gates here today, which is pretty convenient. I haven't even gone through like a real security line yet because the security is actually at the gate of this airport, which for me is a little bit weird, not usual. Though back in the day in Berlin Tegel did used to have at least one of their terminals operating security right at the gate. So it's kind of like a flashback to the past for me, I guess. But anyway, to enter the Malaysia Airlines lounge, you don't even have to go through security, just customs and immigration. And here's the lounge. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. And our gate will be pretty close, right?
Denpasar Airport will be at H8.
8?
It's about roughly less than 10 minutes walk.
Oh, okay, cool. And here we are. I noticed it said it's the regional lounge here. I guess that makes sense. Indonesia's the next country over, so it's not really that long of a flight. It's going to be, I think, 3 hours and 20 minutes scheduled, so a bit less. But this lounge seems quite nice. You've got a magazine selection and there's just so much seating. Plus decor is pretty impressive here, I have to say. And one thing that can't be said about every single airline lounge is that there's a pretty cool view of airport activities here. A lot of Malaysia Airlines aircraft, got Batik as well, and a nice view of some mountains. And I wouldn't call it an overly large lounge area, but it seems pretty spacious and there's a lot of seating here. Plus there's chargers at almost every seat now that I'm looking around. And there's a barista here, so I think I'm gonna get some coffee. I'd take a latte then, please. Thank you. And to go with your coffee, there are plenty of nice little pastries. Pretty nice. It's kind of like going to a real coffee shop. And bam, a latte. Not exactly like in the photo, but it looks like a good latte. And they've got all these dried fruits, including mango and dried kiwis, which I love. If you've never had a dried kiwi before, you're missing out. Plus some mango for good measure. The 16-year-old version of me would have brought giant Ziploc bags to this lounge to fill up with mango, but I do know better. And there's a fully stocked fridge here, and lots of different food options, really. Let's see. Chap chai, bindi masala, peas pilau. There are a lot of options for food here. I'm not gonna eat my main meal quite yet. Eat a little bit closer to the flight, I think. There's also a coffee machine if the barista's, I don't know, taking a break or closed or I don't know, whatever. And then a lot of other cold foods, salad. Ooh, and they have dragon fruit. This is a pretty nice lounge. And I'm guessing all of these flags are for Independence Day because I don't think they usually have so many Malaysian flags everywhere in the lounge. They're pretty. Plus, if you got kids, there's a special area for those kids to not disturb everybody else. And there's a lot of nice seating kind of off to the side. So if you want a quiet place away from people talking to cameras like me, you'll find one. There's also a nap area. I'm actually going to take a silent look at it. Let's see. Ah, okay, I can talk. There's nobody here. This looks nice, although I'm not sure how long all of this stuff has been sitting here. And you've got showers right in the bathroom. Oh, very nice. With some amenities too. Let's see what they've got. Golden lounge, green tea smell. I think everybody likes green tea, right? And it looks like it's made in Malaysia, so nice touch. Very nice bathroom. Thank you. And I mean, that's really it. This lounge might not be Qatar Airways ridiculousness or something like that, but it's got a nice spacious feel and a lot of food options. And let's see if their coffee's all right. It's good. It's not the most beautiful latte art with microphone, but who cares? It's all about the coffee. And with a dried kiwi. Or if you want to be a little less healthy. This stuff looks good too. But sweets aren't going to cut it anymore. It's time for some real food. And in addition to all the already prepared food, there's also food made to order. They were doing pastas, but I found the soups a little more interesting. So I got 2 different soups to try out. So, I've always wanted to try laksa. Well, and I have tried it outside of this part of the world, but now I'm going to try it here in the lounge for the first time. That's a good soup. It's a spicy soup. And these noodles, they're an excellent texture. It's like this chewy bite, I guess. I don't know, kind of like mochi, but a little bit stiffer. Wow, that's a really fresh and tasty soup. And it's really spicy. But it comes with a mint leaf on top. That's always nice when something's really spicy. Mint leaf balances stuff out. And they've also got an egg noodle soup with 1 shrimp in it. But it's called a shrimp soup anyway. That shrimp's almost the color of a crawfish or lobster or something. Wow. And the broth looks equally thick, just like that laksa. Maybe not the same broth, but there's gonna be some spice here. Let's try the shrimp. That's not that frozen crap you get at Giant Food. And the egg noodles. I don't know what to make of this broth. It's definitely got a lot of shrimp influence. Maybe that's where the name prawn soup comes from. This is also a really good soup. There's a random little bit of chicken too. And I can only recommend their food in this lounge so far. This is good. And if you just went to the hot plates, this is what you get. Some ghee rice. Obviously, I'm being weird and eating this with chopsticks, but I just took chopsticks. Some beef, some fish, the okra that came with the fish, and this almost baby corn. You need to spend more time in Malaysia, because if this is the food that you find inside of an airport, the food you're going to find outside of an airport has to be pretty amazing. Well, that was a nice lounge experience, but it's actually past my boarding time and I haven't gone through security yet. The thing is, the person working at the lounge let me know that they don't actually board an hour before for flights to Indonesia, so I think I've still got plenty of time. And she even said I can take 2 oranges with me, which is very rare for lounges to actually just let you take something out of the lounge. Very nice. But I suppose security is not going to take all that long, since this security line was just before my flight, and my flight's aboard a 737-800. So even if my flight over to Bali does happen to be entirely full, it's still going to be like under 200 people going through security. And I kind of like that, but I assume most airports don't use that because then they'd have to have more security staff. I just can't think of another reason. Plus, I guess it does also mean that the area outside of the gates is a bit less secure. But having security directly at the gate seems kind of nice if you ask me. And here I am. It's the end of the terminal where H8 is, and I've just got to go through security now. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thanks. You want my passport as well?
Yes.
Sure.
Maybe your passport, man?
But I don't think it matters where they put the security in this airport because, I don't know, the security line is super inefficient. It took like 10 minutes to go through with about 3 people in front of me. But here I am at the gate and they're about to start boarding. But the gate area itself is actually pretty nice. They've got charging stations, an air purifier that you can stand next to if you want to get away from the polluted air, I guess, I don't know. And then pretty good views of the airplanes too. Hello, thank you. Most of Malaysia Airlines flights, so they're operating on routes of up to even like 5 or 6 hours around Asia, are all flown on these 737s. And the obvious downside here is that it's a narrow-body airplane and there are no lie-flat seats on this aircraft. Hi, thank you.
Yep.
This is what the seats look like. It'll work. It'll work. So basically these seats are pretty comparable to, I don't know, what you'd find on any domestic business class on a decent airline in the US, for example. Not in Europe though. These are better than the ones you'll find in Europe where they just have economy class with nobody sitting in the middle seat. You can see they hand out a pillow as well as a blanket. And it's pretty hot here in Kuala Lumpur today, so they've got the air conditioners all on high. So that's what you hear in the background. But as far as legroom goes, this is solid. For like a business class like this, it's good. There's a lot of room for my legs. And you can see the seat does go into this position. So there's recline, it's just not lie flat, of course. And actually, Malaysia Airlines now has some 737 Maxes in their fleet, but this is one of the older 737-800s, so it's like a vintage product, we could say. There's this nice little drink holder with the cocktail sign here. And the only kind of obvious downside that I see to this seat, other than the fact that it doesn't lie flat in business class, is that there's a pretty big space where you could have your neighbor just kind of like using it as a drink rest or something, I don't know. It doesn't feel all that private in that sense. And on top of that, there are absolutely no screens in this airplane for entertainment, so you're going to be dependent on your own devices and on their internet actually working, which isn't always the case on any airline. And they do offer pre-flight drinks. You get the choice of orange juice, apple juice, or water. And I'm thirsty, so I went for some water. Do note that there's no champagne available for your pre-flight drink on this airline, on this aircraft. Let's give the water a try. You won't believe how good this water is. It tastes like water. The overhead space is not exactly spacious, so I can see that some people are pushing around my backpack that I got up there since I was the first to board the aircraft. And I certainly wouldn't say that this aircraft is dirty, but it is very worn. I just need to do some upholstering is all. I don't know, there's just little marks on the ground like this. It just needs to be shown some love. And I would like to see them operate a few more wide-body aircraft on these routes, but I guess they're just operating what they have according to demand. One thing that is kept pretty modern on this airplane is the charging capabilities. You've even got USB-C, which isn't always the case on even newer aircraft. And I guess because it's a very hot climate here, instead of a hot towel, you get a cold towel.
You must remove your face mask and then place the oxygen mask over your nose and mouth with the headband tightly around your head and breathe normally.
And we've just pushed back here, and they've already taken care of the safety announcements and all that. But we're still not at our final runway, so we can kind of just have some views of all the different aircraft at the airport here. Transnusa. But we actually pushed back a few minutes before our departure time, so it looks like we're going to be at least on time, if not a little bit early, over to Bali today. And now that I've had the chance to sit in this business class seat for about 20 minutes, I can say, well, it's a little bit flimsy, like you kind of just fall back a little bit in it, and it doesn't really feel that super comfortable. But to just give you something common to compare to, this is pretty much what you'd find on like a first class flight in the domestic US flown on a Delta 757. And having just taken a quick peek over the economy seats is definitely a huge step up. But all of the staff definitely make you feel very welcome when you get on board. And that Malaysia Airlines lounge is a really nice way to start a trip off. And just 1 minute after our scheduled departure time, we're already at our final runway and just waiting for the all clear to take off. And it looks like the aircraft that was in front of us in line just took off, so we should be in the air in just a few minutes. At just about 6 minutes after takeoff, the seatbelt sign's already off. We've hit 10,000 feet, and it was a really smooth initial ascent, but we're going to keep going up for another about 20 minutes, and then I think service will start.
Please do enjoy our in-flight experience. Thank you.
And just 1 or 2 minutes after the seatbelt sign was turned off, it was turned back on, and there were some light bumps. It's still on, but the turbulence seems to have already gone away. And the crew has already started to come around with a drink cart, so I guess it's going to be time to dine pretty soon. And the tray tables just come out of this compartment here. Is the first one like satay or?
No, it's like curry.
Oh, that's good.
Spices.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Thanks.
For you?
Thank you.
Some drinks for you? Orange apple, guava.
What was the first option?
Orange apple or guava juice?
Oh, guava would be nice. I'll do the same, the sunflower. Thanks. Cheers. Thank you, sir. Sure, why not?
Okay.
I'll check it out. Thanks. And I don't know. I feel like Malaysia Airlines just kind of gets me because their dining looks really nice. I mean, I haven't tasted everything yet, but the lounge gave me a really great first impression. So to eat, there's a chicken salad to start, and then even a few little snacks, including one that points out the fact that it's Malaysia Day. And the main will be a chicken curry, and then that'll be followed by a dessert that looks like something green. It looks tasty. It could be matcha, or it could just be food dye. We'll see. Good. The views out the window are kind of crazy today. You've got like sunny weather combined with all different kinds of clouds, and there's just a lot to see. And the bread also came recommended. Plus they have butter in the shape of a rose, which is pretty. But I don't think I want any butter. I'll just try the bread. Garlicky. And the turbulence is starting up again as we've just flown into a cloud. Which means it's time for me to eat a salad. And I wouldn't call it anything super special, but for a plain salad, it's pretty good. But what does look a little more special is this curry, so let's give this a try. Basically rice, vegetables, and curried chicken. But while this chicken is good and completely edible, for sure, it just doesn't compare to the lounge food. So if I had to choose one or the other, I would just eat in the lounge before the flight. But this is a pretty solid meal, especially for being served on board a 737-800. And this dessert really looks interesting, so let's give it a try. There's definitely coconut and grass jelly involved there. It's super good. And the in-flight entertainment does seem to work consistently, but there's actually no Wi-Fi available on this flight at all. Just that in-flight entertainment. So while other airlines in Asia might have even free Wi-Fi, it would be nice to see Malaysia Airlines at least introduce the option to have Wi-Fi aboard their 737s. And they understandably had to stop serving any hot drinks just because the seatbelt sign was on and there was some turbulence. But finally the turbulence went away and they turned the seatbelt sign off. And here's a coffee with some milk. Let's give it a try. It's pretty good. And they frothed the milk a bit or something. I'm not sure exactly what their coffee setup is, but it's definitely drinkable. And despite being, well, slightly old and slightly flimsy, this seat does this job. I mean, of course, I'd rather be in a lie-flat seat, but since they're not operating with a lie-flat seat on this route, there's more than enough space to pull out my computer and do some work here. And my God, has the captain been very, very sensitive to having that seatbelt buckle sign on. Most of the flight, it's been on basically, but finally, I got up right after descent started, because I actually really need to use the bathroom, but I also want to show you the bathroom. And the bathroom is not too notable. This is a 737. It's pretty tight, especially for business class, but it definitely does the trick. You've got some soap here and a few nice touches with these amenities, eau de toilette and some lotion plus toothpicks. Pretty good, pretty good. I definitely wouldn't describe it as the cleanest bathroom I've ever seen on an airplane, but it's more or less acceptable. And the tissue for drying your hands is unusually very thin, so I actually need to use more than one, maybe even 3 of them, just to dry my hands actually. Maybe take some toothpicks for the road. They're very useful. Let's just see how this smells. Smells fresh. I don't really know, it's kind of citrusy, this eau de toilette. I like it more or less. And a little bit of lotion. It's kind of a weird lotion bottle though, but alright. And it's produced exclusively for Malaysia Airlines. Nice touch. And it kind of smells like, well, if I'm not mistaken, it smells like nothing. But we've still got a little bit more of the flight left, so let's head back to my seat and then let's just sum up everything that we've seen here today aboard this business class flight with Malaysia Airlines. And we'll also go over how much I paid for this flight. And we're just starting to get views of Bali. It's my first time ever going here, so I'm quite excited to be seeing Bali for the first time. But let's go over this flight experience real quick. The first and most prominent thing about flying Malaysia Airlines, at least in my experience today, is that their service is really on point. The staff, both on the ground and in the air, do everything they can to make your experience comfortable and nice. I mean, any little request, they seem to just take care of it immediately, above and beyond. Plus, this airline seems really committed to having a solid dining experience, again, both on the ground and in the air. And there seems to be some pride in serving Malaysian cuisine as well. But when it comes to their hard product, according to their cabin manager, they're currently in the process of updating everything. And at least in this older 737 cabin, there's no Wi-Fi available, the entertainment is kind of limited, the whole seating area feels quite outdated, and the seat itself is not all that great. Again, everything is clean enough, it's just that it's quite worn. So if they really are in the process of updating their hard product, and I kind of think they are because they're receiving some A330neos right now, then the experience is definitely going to improve. But even without all that, I would definitely fly Malaysia Airlines again based on this experience aboard this old 737. The only real issues I encountered during my travels had to do with Kuala Lumpur Airport itself, which could use some work. And okay, Malaysia Airlines, being the national carrier of Malaysia, might have a little bit of say in how Kuala Lumpur Airport is run, but I feel that it would just be unfair to fault the airline at all for the airport's poor operations. So depending on the price, I would definitely fly Malaysia Airlines again. And talking about price, let's talk about how much I paid to take this flight. I paid 22,500 American Airlines miles plus somewhere around $75 in taxes and fees. But it wasn't just for this flight. I also took 2 Cathay Pacific flights, one 2 days ago from Taipei over to Hong Kong, and then another yesterday from Hong Kong over to Kuala Lumpur, and then today, of course, I'm flying from Kuala Lumpur to Denpasar or Bali Airport, DPS. So in this case, considering I've flown 3 different days on 3 different business class flights, I think American Airlines Advantage program had something pretty good to offer here. And on top of that, if I were to have just flown all 3 of these flights in economy class, then I would have paid 17,500 American Airlines miles, which is only 5,000 less, so pretty good deal in my opinion. But as we near our final descent into Bali, thanks so much for watching this video, and if you liked it, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to my channel for a ton more travel videos.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ngurah Rai International Airport, Denpasar.
And that may be it for this flight review, but now it's time for me to go spend 2 weeks chilling in Bali. Alright, thank you, take care.
Travels, is it?
David G Travels.
Oh, David G. Travels.
Yeah, I'll see you online.